Hey, welcome back to Get Down to Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Today, I'm excited to have Adam, Zek, and Josh Sklut, the co-founders of MyStandard, the world's first employment and talent acquisition service built on Web3 technology. MyStandard is shaking things up by putting ownership and control of data back in the hands of users. Adam and Josh are both very, very impressive. Adam has a strong background in blockchain technology, while Josh is a seasoned HR and recruiting expert. Together, they've created a revolutionary platform that's poised to transform the way we work. Well, let's dive right in. Adam and Josh, welcome to the program. Can you tell us a little bit more about MyStandard and the inspiration behind creating a Web3-based employment platform?
Hey, thanks for having us. The inspiration for me was initially that we wanted to create an equitable hiring platform. We were finding that organizations were having trouble with hiring managers and staff kind of knowing too much about somebody in order to, and bias was kind of intercepting the opportunity for certain candidates to get hired at organizations. And so we wanted to create a platform where everyone had a fair shot for every job. You essentially stay anonymous until you actually want to share your data. Which was one of the first principles that we brought into this thing, and it's obviously grown into a lot more since then.
And then on top of that, the ability to monetize your data. Right now, we give it away for free. When you use a LinkedIn or any one of the other platforms, you're giving them all of your information. They're monetizing it to the tune of about $10 billion a year. With our structure, you get paid for your most valuable asset, which is that data. So we decided it was only fair that when you're on our platform, you should actually get to monetize your most valuable asset.
Absolutely. And so what are some of the key advantages of using MyStandard for both employers and candidates? How does it differ from traditional job boards and recruiting agencies?
Well, I'll take the candidate side, and Josh can handle the employer side. For candidates, in today's world, you have to go and actively apply to positions, make profiles, socialize on social media, and apply to positions. On MyStandard, you set up a profile, and you kind of can set it and forget it. You wait for us to contact you. When there's a position on the platform that you're a fit for, you're going to get a notification. It doesn't disrupt daily habits. You answer the call, yes or no. I do want to share my data. You get paid. I don't want to share my data. You don't get paid, but you also stay anonymous. And then you just go on with your day. Likewise, you'll be able to do all sorts of other ways of applying to jobs or broadcasting the network that you're interested in a job. But initially, it's just going to be like a non-disruptive way for you from your daily habits for you to engage full-time, real-time, all the time with the marketplace while staying fully anonymous in the process.
And then on the client side, I believe that LinkedIn and various different platforms are sort of the Tinderization of recruiting, right? I don't like this person's picture. I don't like their name. I don't like where they went to school. They really have nothing at stake because it's a subscription model. With our structure, since they're paying candidates for access to that data, they're going to treat it differently because, as we all know, you treat things differently when you actually pay for them. To Adam's point, also, with the amount of candidates that you're going to get that are minimally qualified for the role, it's going to be a much smaller and more manageable number. Instead of having 5,000 applicants who you really don't care about and spending your day going through a bunch of resumes that aren't qualified, the candidates are qualified. You've paid them for access to that data. You now have a number you can deal with. And you're forming that relationship, which I think lacks in the structure of our talent acquisition world right now. You want to be able to connect the dots and build a relationship with a person so that they feel more comfortable about the opportunity that you're presenting to them. And we provide that as well as getting them actually money for something that's valuable like their data.
That's awesome. I'm chatting with the co-founders of MyStandard. It's Adam and Josh. Really, really fascinating. And we know that there's a lot of interest in Web3, but it could also be a complex concept for newcomers. How is MyStandard making Web3 technology accessible to a wider audience, particularly those that are unfamiliar with blockchain?
Yeah, we abstract all the blockchain aspects of this. We just want it to be the software that makes it work. We don't really want it to be the reason you're using it. So you won't hear us ever say we're the Web3 of LinkedIn or anything of the sorts. What we're really trying to do is just make it so that you have a way to own, share, and monetize your data real time and never miss out on better jobs. That's the pitch. It's not, anything Web3. So when you log in, you sign up, you're signing up through a Web3 app, you're creating a wallet, all those things, but you don't even really know or care that you're doing it the way that we architected the UI UX. The same goes for employers. Like employers are actually using the MyStandard token real time to ask people for their data, but they don't even know it. They see this in terms of like how many data requests am I sending out. We've abstracted the entire process and all the complexity for employers as well. So really, like we're making. We've been told that we're like a Trojan horse play for Web3 because people are now going to become Web3 users without even knowing it. And now that they're in Web3, maybe there's other things they want to do. But as far as getting into it, utilizing the platform, they don't have to know any of the technical complexities or any of the scary parts of Web3. It's really just going to feel like every other app they've used.
Absolutely. And the future of work is a hot topic. How do you believe that MyStandard will contribute to a more secure and transparent job market for everyone?
Basically, we think that the resume is the problem. We think that resumes are kind of outdated. You shouldn't be judged on the font or the spacing on your resume. I see so many posts on LinkedIn where companies and recruiters are complaining about this resume didn't look right, or that's not what you should be based on, because that's not going to actually determine if you're good at your job or not. You should be based on your ability to do your job, your ability to fit into a corporate culture, and your ability to be kind of a successful employee, a long-term employee. With our structure, since you're being based just on your skills and your experience, and you have the opportunity to show those off without any bias, that, in my opinion, is the future of work, especially as we get into this debate about, is AI going to take over? Are humans going to still have control? You need to be able to show off and showcase your skills in an equitable environment. And we definitely provide that.
All right. Well, this is exciting. Again, chatting with the co-founders of MyStandard, really, really revolutionary, company and goals, really making a huge impact in the job market. We've been chatting about the future of work, chatting about Web3. Super awesome. So looking ahead, what are your biggest goals for the company? What impact do you hope to have on that employment landscape?
I think that we are ultimately trying to make it so that there's data that organizations currently seek that takes them many weeks to find. And we want to shorten that cycle from weeks to moments. And when you give ownership of data to the person and allow them to share all that data real time, you really do change the way that like the time it takes for organizations to succeed in acquiring data. So as an example of this, in today's world, let's say you wanted to hire somebody. You got their information on LinkedIn. It took you maybe a month for them to respond to that because there was no incentive, right? We provide them the incentive to respond back to organizations quickly. So it took you like a month to get back to that person's data. Then they went through a hiring process. They had to apply to their position on your ATS. Then they had to meet with your team. Then they meet with the hiring manager. And then after all that, they have to go through a background check, and that person might fail the background check. With MyStandard, we're going to create so many ways for them to own all their data, not just their high-level recruiting data, but like, their background check data, their university data. Like we're going to bring all that, everything about the person into their profile. They could essentially pre-background check themselves before they even apply to a job. So that when you're talking to that candidate, you actually know that they would pass your background check. And we don't even need to put them through it if we didn't want to. So the idea that we can be a black hole for all types of data on a user and then be able to put together the complete picture instantaneously so that companies don't have to go and seek that data is really going to change the way that companies like think about hiring and the speed that it takes them to bring on somebody confidently.
And so finally, what would you say as we talk about work? What would be that number one bit of advice that you'd want to share with a small business owner that might be listening into this program? What should they know, and what perhaps actions should they consider taking in the weeks and months ahead?
They should ultimately realize that the current structures as they sit right now, especially with the advent of AI and with blockchain technology like ours, that it's going to change, that there's going to be more options than the typical job boards, than Indeed and LinkedIn and, all of the various players that are out there right now, that stuff is really going to be antiquated in the next, I'd say 6 to 12 months, because there's going to be so many opportunities for them to find candidates in new and intriguing ways. To look around and shop around and try and find, technology that's really cutting edge and giving them the best shot at finding the best people for their team.
Absolutely. Well, we've covered a lot in our conversation. Adam and Josh from MyStandard. I want to make sure our listeners can find you guys and maybe start this process, start to explore a new approach to work. How can they learn more?
The easiest way to get engaged right now is to download the apps off the iOS or Android App Store. Just search for My Standard. You'll see a little rainbow MY, and that'll be the fastest and easiest way to get involved with the company and set up your account. We'll be sending out network testing rewards for our users, which we're going to total a decent amount of money now, and then another time in 4 months from now. So you'll have 2 opportunities to earn, as well as find other opportunities with employers. And follow us on our socials. On X, you can find us at mystandard.io. We post updates, news, links, and there's a lot of video and content we put there.
You can also find us on Telegram. We have our Telegram channel. We're also obviously on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. Quick break. We'll be right back.